Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the New American Media Podcast. We're adding a co host, one of my longtime friends, the one and only Greg Chang. Like to go to something a little bit more lighthearted and talk about TikTok. What do you think? First of all, do you have TikTok? And then if you do, what are your thoughts on TikTok?
Wow, man. No, I'm barely a millennial, so I don't have TikTok personally. But I feel like I'm like part of a shrinking minority. I had TikTok for a while. Honestly, I hate to admit it, but I had TikTok for a while. And it is like the most addictive social media app I've ever been on. And that's why I couldn't stay on it because I would be just like on the thing, like doom scrolling at night, and I already got enough of those sources of doom scrolling with IG and Twitter and whatever else. I'm not on Facebook anymore. I mean, if you're on Facebook, you got to be like in a nursing home.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't. I'm not really on TikTok. But I hear you've got like two channels.
Yes. So I've got two accounts, my personal account and then a burner account, like my man Kevin Durant.
Oh, whoa, whoa. Hey, you're supposed to keep burners on the low, man.
Well, we'll put it out there because I just use it honestly to kind of the burner account is used to mess with the algorithm. So I tried this where I have a friend of mine who's a big time Trump supporter, and he would send me certain videos. And if you keep going and start liking and going down the Trump rabbit hole, it gives you like all kinds of conspiracy theories,
Oh,
crazy things.
that sounds
And
terrible.
and it's cool to see what some of these people are looking at, right? And TikTok, I think, is basically if Facebook was marijuana, then Instagram is cocaine and TikTok is heroin because it is the most addictive. The Chinese have perfected the algorithm. Any of those people that work at TikTok at ByteDance, call me. I will get you a Genius visa to the United States. Let's make an American version. I'll call you.
That's it.
Seriously, if you're watching this on YouTube, I think YouTube is allowed in China. But
They
if
might
you're
block
watching
you.
this,
They're gonna block us after the Taiwan segment. That's for sure.
maybe just the segment, right?
Yeah.
But I think they've done an amazing job. Instagram tried to copy them. And did you hear about the story of Instagram trying to copy them?
I've sort of seen it because I'm still on IG, and I sort of see it, but you just don't get as many creators, like, because you can build the tech, but you still need like the community of people who are actually like creating the content. And TikTok's got like great algorithm, but they also have a great community, and that's really tough to replicate. Yeah, that TikTok is serious. I don't think it's going away. Um, it's got that China connection too, though, so that makes it a little interesting, like how the U.S. will react to it. But I think it's here to stay for a while, man.
I don't know. I honestly don't because I think there is bipartisan support to ban it. However, where are my brown people at? Okay, where TikTok is banned in India, why is there not an Indian developer creating an Indian TikTok? We need an Indian social media platform. You guys got to just stop getting on the WhatsApp and move it forward to a new social media app. So I need an Indian TikTok.
If that means Garang is no longer sending me TikToks or Instagrams, then I will help fund this new platform. So
right? I think it
yeah,
would
he
be
can get
cool.
it too. Yeah, we
Uh,
tried to. I mean, we tried to ban it in 2020. Well, Trump did, and we got talked out of it for some reason. I don't know the issue, like the specifics, but we tried, and it's still sticking around. So we tried our best to get rid of it. Seems like it's here to stay, maybe.
I think it is too, but there definitely could be ways if there is more escalation that as retribution we could ban it. Outside of that, as you know, what you were saying earlier with what they did with Jack Ma, do you know about even like the educational tech stocks and some of those other stocks that were supposed to be listed in the US, either on the NASDAQ, the Dow, or the New York Stock Exchange, have now been permanently moved to either the Hang Seng or the Hong Kong Exchange. Um, and they've lost so much value. Alibaba has lost value. Ant has lost value. Um, what do you think today, if you're a tech entrepreneur in Hong Kong or in Shanghai, how are you feeling?
I think you're feeling nervous. Like you seen probably a lot of them look up to the Jack Ma's of the world, and they see what happens if you pop off the mouth. What will happen to you? It's crazy, but it's tough really looking into their heads, their minds, their hearts, because we're not over there. And I think Chinese people are more tolerant of having to fit into like a certain box and being told how to behave. So if you're okay with just like not saying anything about the CCP, it's still a decent place because I mean, there's more and more Chinese people getting more and more money, so that means business is gonna improve. But it's definitely not better than innovating in the U.S. That's for sure. I
Well,
mean,
so do you think history is kind of in a way repeating itself? If you remember your world history, which I know you do, um, the I can't remember which Chinese dynasty who was the emperor, but in the 1500s, 1600s, um, the Chinese military, they had already invented gunpowder when the Europeans hadn't. And they had ships that could sail further than European ships at the time. However, the ruler, I think it was the Ming Dynasty, I may be wrong, but at the time, instead of looking outward to expand trade and expand their cultural influence like the Europeans did, the Chinese went inward, stopped trading with their partners, causing obviously the rising sun, the Japanese, to become what they were all the way up to modern day, right before World War II. Do
yeah,
you think that this is something that's kind of happening today with what Xi is trying to do, kind of looking inward? Or
totally. Yeah, it's like they're almost creating a digital Great Wall now. Like, and innovation comes from like an idea way over here combining with an idea way over here that on the face of it doesn't make sense, but someone created both that you connect those two things together and they're just so much better. And so if you limit the amount of people, the amount of perspectives you can communicate with, collaborate with, then you're just gonna have less innovation. And so I do believe at the end of the day that's gonna be the Chinese government's downfall at this point. Like that's gonna limit the growth, that's gonna limit their ability to achieve their goals. And unfortunately it's just bad for Chinese people too, I think. Um, and it is history repeating itself. Like you said, we Chinese were first in creating so many different things, gunpowder, paper, like basic fundamentals of society that we take for granted today. but for them to have another renaissance, a cultural renaissance like that, you can't always be looking inside. There's only so much you can learn and grow that way as a person or as a society. So yeah, um, that's why Taiwan, going back to earlier, because they're an open democracy, they've only got like what 20 million people or whatever, but the average person is much richer over there, much more well off because they're open. They collaborate with other people.
Wow.
They got more trade. So for all China's grown and for all that the standard of living has improved, it's still worse than Taiwan. And I think the quote unquote digital great walls. You could look at India as another example of like innovation and why they're flourishing. You got growth internally, a lot of stuff going on there, but it's not as though India is shut off from the world like China's starting to do.
I've got family that just came in town from India a couple days ago, and they also were saying some of the stuff that Modi has implemented has been good, but a lot of it that he wants to do with Made in India is kind of pushed out American, European, Southeast Asian companies, and it's not been as good. So really, I think in India, it's a wait and see game to see how it works out. There's still, as of now, the fifth largest economy in the world, passing the Brits, which is a great thing. Monday was India's 75th anniversary
25.
of our independence.
How'd you celebrate?
So I went out, ate some good Indian food. We had an event actually with the hopefully future senator of North Carolina, Sherry Beasley, and the North Carolina Indian American Super PAC that hosted the event. And I'm one of the co-chairs of the Super PAC.
Look at you making moves. Super PAC co-chair.
No, I mean,
use your power for good, right? Use your power for good, man. Use your power for good.
I still do believe that this is the greatest country in the history of the world because of the freedoms that we enjoy. I've said this multiple times, and that's why I think those people, if you are a disaffected youth that is a genius, that's a programmer, that understands AI coding, software, robotics, please, please, please apply for a Genius visa, apply for an H-1B, come to the United States, heck, even come to Canada, and leave China, come here, and you will be rewarded with financial success and personal freedoms that you will never enjoy in a communist country.
Well, I don't know if you saw that statistic that recently came out, but I just pulled it up. But basically, more than half of $1 billion companies founded in the U.S. were founded by immigrants. So there really is no better place if you've got the drive, the passion, the ingenuity to build a company. And I hope the U.S. stays that way. But for now, that's where we're at. And you're right. It's no better place to be a new American.
Yeah, no, I love that. That is an amazing fact. Folks, we got Greg Chang dropping some straight facts and knowledge on all of you today. One of the things I think that I talked about as well, staying on this topic, is if you've seen the July jobs number, over 500,000 jobs created, unemployment at 3.5%. Everybody was calling him Sleepy Joe, but I think he's woken up. I got a new nickname for him. We're going to test it out right here on the pod for the first time. It's not Sleepy Joe. It's going to be Boomin' Biden.
Boomin' Biden.
Boomin' Biden.
it's a little close to Boomer Biden, like, you know, baby Boomer Biden, but the economy's doing better. That's for sure. Gas prices are better too. I mean, I think they're still high relatively, but they're dropping, right? I don't know
Yeah,
personally because
you're
they're
you're
still
in
really high in LA. They're still crazy in LA.
you're in LA. California has this completely different gasoline fuel mix than the rest of the 49 states. Um, so it's artificially higher. I went and got gas yesterday. It was $2.99 here in North Carolina. So it's now under $3 a gallon. I said this, our summer driving season, there was no demand. There was less demand this summer than in summer of 2020 during lockdowns. Um, and this also goes into what I was saying, peak oil demand in the United States will be in 2024 and it will taper off after. You, my friend, have a Tesla. So gas prices don't even matter to you.
Well, I've got the Prius for the daycare, commute car that's half electric, half gas. But I
Right.
actually have filled up my tank 3 times since I moved out here 9 months ago.
Yeah. So
But
like
why
three
why
times in what? Like a year?
yeah, but why has consumption gone down? Why is
Uh,
that lower? Yeah.
People are just driving less. Cars are significantly more fuel efficient. And then we just reached 5% saturation of electric cars.
5%. That's higher than I
Yes,
thought it would be. Yeah. That's only going to get better with the Inflation Reduction Act and all those tax credits people would get. Um,
correct.
yeah.
You want to talk about it? What's in the bill?
I don't know like the back of my hand. If you know it better than me, then you can go over it. But I mean, I do know there's subsidies for electric vehicles, purchasing them as long as the component parts are manufactured in the U.S. Um, there is an income limit to being able to generate benefit from those subsidies. So it's meant to benefit like the 80% of Americans who could potentially like who actually should be benefiting from something like that, not like you and me.
It's 150K. I think they should have changed it to 250 for states like California and New York because of the higher cost of living. Um, Making 250K in California or New York is like making 150K in any other state.
Yeah, I can't tell you how often I feel poor, even though I'm not out in LA. It's so expensive. Houses are $1,000 a square foot. Gas is like $6 a gallon, while the rest of the country's going down. It's crazy. But yeah, the Inflation Reduction Act has a lot of subsidies, which should be good, and it's offset by a corporate minimum tax, I think of 15%. I don't know how I feel about all the IRS agents. That always gets a little scary when, you got Uncle Sam with more sticks to come after you with potentially. Um, but I love the prescription drug negotiation that Medicare will now be able to do because, you talk about free markets and it's really weird that most Republicans are for free markets or used to be for free markets, but they didn't want pharma to have to be in negotiations for drugs, which is crazy. It's crazy that that was even a thing. Like Medicare was restricted from negotiating; they just had to accept the prices that drug companies give them. Like, how crazy is that?
So I heard this crazy stat. 75% of all spending on TV ads are pharma companies. On like
75%.
Yes, on cable television. 75% of all the ads you see are for some kind of drug. And it's a crazy amount, and pharmaceutical companies spend the most amount of money lobbying the federal government. And so that's why we have these jacked up rules. They pay both sides. Here, they say both sidesism, but here they pay both Republicans and Democrats. Some of the most progressive people in the Senate and the House take a lot of money from pharma companies. And so
Follow the money.
that's why we've had these archaic laws.
Follow the money.
Follow the money. But getting back to the tax credit, I know the tax credit is $7,500 for all electric vehicles. And I know you said the battery components had to be made in the US, but the problem is 90% of all battery components are made in China. And there's nothing, we don't have the infrastructure to make those components yet. I think Elon will with Gigafactory Texas, and he's building a Gigafactory, I think, in Arizona, or a battery factory in Arizona. Once it becomes fully operational and online, I think at that point we will have it. But none of the other car companies have the ability or the supply chain to do it. And this is where we're still going to need those components from China and those raw materials such as lithium, manganese, platinum, palladium, all of those rare earth minerals mined in Africa. So a lot of people,
Vibranium.
and rightly so, say it's bad for the environment. What are your thoughts on that? The mining aspect.
Yeah, production of new vehicles, like if you're talking about net emissions, production of those vehicles has emissions associated with it.
Right.
So, there's a tipping point in terms of like how much new production you do and the CO2 emissions. I don't know. I haven't studied it enough to really talk about it. And honestly, I don't want to be fact checked and canceled by whoever on TikTok. But yeah, I hadn't seen that the most of the manufacturers can benefit from the tax credit. I thought Tesla yeah, I hadn't seen that the most of the manufacturers can benefit from the tax credit. I thought Tesla right now is not well positioned, but maybe some of the American manufacturers could be soon. But I hadn't seen all the statistics you're talking about.
No, I think I'm big on Tesla. Elon's kind of got it figured out. I read an article where they compared the size of Giga Texas. His factory in Texas is 5 times the size of the Pentagon. And I mean, the Pentagon is huge.
That's big.
He has to have cell phones to talk to people from one side. Like to get from one side of the factory to the other takes 30 to 45 minutes.
Wow.
And he was able to build this factory in 24 to 36 months in Texas, which is amazing in and of itself. I've never gone to visit there. Hopefully next time I go to Austin, they have tours and you're allowed to go visit, because I think it's a modern engineering marvel and it would be something really cool to see. But you know me, I'm super pro Elon.
Yeah, you're definitely Elon bro, that's for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, everything's bigger in Texas, so I'm not surprised to hear about the factory and how large it is. I mean, I'm really back and forth on Elon. I think net he's doing a lot of good for human civilization. I mean, he's pushing us forward to a green economy with Tesla, and then the battery technology he's helping to produce. You've got the tunnels he's building. What is that called again? Those tunnels, I forget.
The Boring Company.
The Hyperloop and the Boring Company. To hopefully get more people outside of single car transport and more into public transportation that has lower emissions.
Next time you go to Vegas, they've got one from the Strip to the Vegas Convention Center, and it gets you there in like 3 to 5 minutes. And
Oh,
if anybody's been to Vegas, they know that the Vegas Convention Center is far away from the strip. And to get there via car would take you 20 minutes to 30 minutes, depending on the time. And they've built an underground tunnel through by using the Boring Company, and it gets you there super fast. So I haven't ridden it. I heard it's super cool. Maybe next time you go to Vegas, check it out. Let us know. You're only like a 3 hour drive, 4 hour drive to Vegas. It'll
yeah.
be
Hey,
cool once
I'll go do some market research. I'll go to
yes,
Vegas for that purpose and that purpose only and nothing else.
I'll be there in November. Let me know if you want to come.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take a ride on the thing. I don't know, man. Like, how many people have ridden that? Because I'm not sure I want to be like in the, the top, the first like 300 people. If like a bunch of people have already ridden it, then okay, that's
No,
cool.
I think it's been open for like 6 months.
Okay. All right. No accidents reportedly so far.
That I don't know. I couldn't answer that one.
All right. So this may be passing misinformation. I heard that Tesla makes you sign NDAs if you get into an accident with their self-driving technology. I'd heard that. Maybe that's Reddit misinformation that I'm getting. That
No, I wouldn't be surprised. It's probably because the technology is not fully self-autonomous, but they label it autopilot so people misunderstand the technology.
Yeah, I mean, I don't use it. I have it. I have a Tesla. I didn't buy that software, and I could even test it out. And like, I think it's like $200 a month or $30 a month if you want to do a subscription, which is actually isn't that bad. But I don't know. I just like can't get my mind wrapped around like just letting go of that completely when it's not just mass produced everywhere yet. It's just
Yeah. No, I mean, there's still a ton of human error. And I think autopilot only makes sense when all the other cars around you are autopilot. And then it's like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg kind of thing? Like, do all the cars get autopilot immediately?
I mean, that's partly why flying cars has not happened. I mean, if you looked at like, I think, was it Back to the Future? Like we were supposed to have flying cars by now, or the Jetsons, one of the two.
Back to the Future, one of my favorite movies. Love Michael J. Fox.
What's your favorite scene out of the Back to the Future movies?
Oh man, that's a great question. I think it's where he sees his older self and sees his children and all of that. If I could go back in time, or if my 18-year-old self could see me today, I mean, I don't know what he would say,
It would completely change our lives and say like, man, that what a mess that guy was, and I need to change my life.
Right. I'm hoping he doesn't say that. But I mean, he does actually do something that avoids what happens to him in the future, because I think at the end of that movie, he was supposed to race Biff in the car, and he normally, when someone calls him chicken, gets really, really upset.
Yeah.
And he's in the Jeep and he doesn't end up doing it. And then at the very next light, Biff gets into a major accident.
Yeah.
Instead of him. And he was like, that would have been me.
I never, that's one part of the movie I never understood. Like, you became so upset because someone called you a chicken. Like, who cares? And also, like, where does that come from? Like, why do people say like you're scared, so you're a chicken? Like, if you've ever been to like Hawaii, like chickens run around like owls or rats do there, and those things are nasty, man. Like they're not.
I know.
They're not.
I think that's over our head. That's definitely like an 80s, 70s boomer thing.
Yeah, I like how they basically made Biff into Trump. That was kind of funny. And then you like, draw whatever parallels you want to current day. And then I love the scene where Biff's chasing Marty, and then the manure truck like pours a manure on him. I think it happens a couple times. That's always
it happens all throughout history.
Yeah,
because in Back to the Future 3,
that's right.
they're doing it as well, and the horse cart of manure, he runs into that.
Yeah,
it's like a thematic motif for the movie.
Oh, is that how you use motif?
I don't know.
It sounded good though. It sounded
Yeah.
good to call it thematic motif. Maybe that's
Well,
why
fact check that. Troy, fact check that for me.
Yeah, thematic motif. I mean, don't ask me. I got like a B in film at UNC. It was actually a really hard class. I thought it was going to be super easy, but it was super hard. It was entertaining, but it was super hard. I actually tried, and I got a B. Yeah.
That's cool. I've never taken a film class. I'd love to do that if I had time.
It was cool, but it was like a lot of old movies that you just like didn't really care about. Like, I mean, Citizen Kane is supposed to be like one of the best movies ever, but you pop it on today, the special effects are so bad, and maybe like the framing and the lighting are profound, but I don't know. I don't know that it's like timeless. Now, if they had like a class where we're like watching The Godfather or something like that, that would be pretty cool. But that's
do you think it's also because people's attention spans every decade become shorter and shorter? I feel like the people like you couldn't watch if you were born in the 50s or 60s, you couldn't watch one of those silent movies from the 20s, right? The same way for me, like I can't watch a black and white movie or even those old westerns or some of those old movies because first of all, I don't relate to them culturally or anything about it. And second of all, they move extremely slow. And then you look at children today, like my girls can't even watch TV with commercials. Like they hate commercials.
I hear you. Like, I introduced TV to my daughter. She's 18 months now. And at first she loved them. And then I got her into like some Disney musicals and she loved those. Now she won't watch a normal like animated movie. But now like when I showed the musical to her, she like gets really upset when the music stops. And without looking at me, she'll like go like this to wave to me to like fast forward so that I can go to the next music section. It's like the instant gratification culture we're in is getting like crazier and crazier. But I can't sit there and watch it. Like if my wife and I are home watching a movie, like, maybe like one time out of 10, we're not on our phones during the entire movie.
See, I can watch a movie. Mona has such a terrible habit of that. I'm always like, every time we're watching a movie, she's on her phone the whole time, even if she picked the movie. And I'm like, what is the point of watching a movie if you're going to text, scroll through Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is while you're watching a movie? That is like the biggest pet peeve of mine. If you're going to watch a movie, watch the movie or don't. Simple enough. Yeah. Well, this was great, man. I really enjoyed having you on. We love to shoot the shit here. We talked about a great bunch of topics. I'm going to let you kind of do an outro.
All right. Well, that concludes the first co-hosted New American Media podcast. Hopefully I lived up to the illustrious Greg Gala's reputation and didn't sully his good name. But I had a great time having this conversation. A lot of really great topics that we covered. This time we're going to be talking about Live Golf and all the crazy stuff that's been happening with Tiger and Phil and the sovereign wealth fund of the Saudis and all the impacts of that. We're going to be talking about something that's near and dear to me and Greg, which is fathers with daughters. Fun stuff. We're living that right now, the ups and downs. But yeah, thanks for joining. We'll see you guys on social media. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, or whatever the
YouTube.
anything that Garang is going to invent in the next week.
Yeah, I think I'd like to add we are going to talk about new American athletes. We're going to try to dedicate an episode with Live Golf and some sports, how we've seen Asian quarterbacks, basketball players, baseball players, and obviously in all of the other sports, and let you guys know what me and Greg think about it. Thank you, everybody.